Hey guys, it's Ellie from Our Life from Scratch, and I wanted to talk to you today about being more self-sufficient and specifically stockpiling food. So I know when I say those terms that there's a lot of different images and things that come to your mind from one end of the spectrum to the other, and that's okay because it will look different for everyone and every family. I wanted to share with you our story as a family of 9 and how we became more self-sufficient and how it helped us, in hopes that it will help you too and give you encouragement, whether you're already on that path or maybe you're like we were when we started and just asking yourself a lot of what if questions. So for us, the journey began about 10 years ago when we began to feel very uneasy about the economy. My husband was very nervous about the national debt and just felt that it was unsustainable. So we began to plan for an economic crash. And so whether you're planning for something like that or a natural disaster or a terrorist attack or maybe something personal, whatever your reason for thinking about being more self-sufficient or being more prepared, I always say it is always a good idea to be prepared. You're never going to be disappointed that you are prepared for something. So we just began to ask ourselves a lot of questions. I was at home. I think I had 3 small kids at the time, and I was cooking 3 meals a day. So we started with food because, everybody's got to eat. So for us, we lived on a farm, and we were very involved in the ag community. So we had our own livestock. We raised hogs commercially for a company. We had a small garden. I knew how to can. We knew how to do things. We were not removed from the farm, but we still relied heavily on the grocery store for our food supply, and we just did not feel prepared. So we just began with food. We began to buy whole shelf-stable ingredients and put that back, and that's what started our stockpile. So when I would go to the store, I would, look for things on sale, but I would just buy maybe an extra bag of flour or some extra cans of corn or a bag of rice and just put that back. I was able to build up extra food for in times of emergency without spending a lot of extra money. So I want to stop here and say that I feel like everyone can be prepared in this way because we did not have a lot of money. We did not have a lot of extra time. We didn't have room for it. We didn't know what we were doing. We lived on a farm, but we were not raising and growing all of our food. Like, this was food in the grocery store that we bought extra without spending a lot of extra money. So, maybe you don't have land and can't grow your own food. Maybe, you don't want to. Maybe you live in an apartment, you don't have extra room. That's okay. You can still, in this small way, be prepared and be more self-sufficient in your food supply. So we began to stockpile and had a pretty good stockpile of just extra food for emergencies. And a few years later, we went through a really, really hard financial time and needed that food. And so we were able to use that food that we had put back, and it helped us so many months and so many days. So, again, we were preparing for an economic crash, and then it ended up kind of being a personal economic situation. So it's always a good idea to be prepared. 100 years ago, everyone lived on a homestead and grew and raised everything that they ate. But that's not the case now, and that's okay. But I feel like everyone can still be prepared in this small way with their food supply. I'm sharing this with you not out of a spirit of fear, but more of responsibility and just being good stewards and doing the best with what we've been given. I know that the Lord is in control, and you can see that in our life so many times where we started to question and started to put back food, and then down the road we needed that food. And so I know the Lord's timing is best, and He is always in control. So I don't share this as a spirit of fear or anxiety, but just to be prepared, just to do the best with what you have and to be good stewards. For us, the journey has evolved over the years. We found out something that we started just because we felt like we needed to ended up being something that we really love to do. And so for us, it evolved, and we began to learn more and do more and grow more. We learned to, butcher our own animals. I learned about herbal medicine, and there was things that I could grow and forage locally, that I could treat my family if we didn't have access to medicine. We began to stockpile other things like, medicine or fuel or animal feed or ammunition, just being more prepared. So I want to encourage you, whether that's your goal or not, you can start in small ways, in small increments to make a big difference. If you want to know more, I have shared our tips to starting a food stockpile that includes some of the foods we use, containers to use, and just some general tips on starting your food stockpile. I'll leave the link here if you want to check that out. Again, thank you for listening to our story, and we'll see you next time.